Today I have got a very unique video for you. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a video like this, and that's why I'm making it for you. I want to put together a list of clones of Bond No. 9 fragrances. You don't see a ton of clones of Bond No. 9. There's a couple brands that I'm aware of that are doing this. One of them is very expensive. There's the Joe Milano clones that apparently are pretty good. I haven't bought any of them because they're anywhere from like $60 to $80, you know, so they're quite expensive. These in this list are going to be very affordable and for the most part, very good. And so this is a list of 8 clone fragrances of Bond No. 9 fragrances. And I'll tell you up front that some of these I have not smelled the original. I know at least one of them is discontinued. I'll let you know if I'm familiar with the original DNA. But mostly I just wanted to let you know that these exist. And I'm going to tell you what I think of them on their own merits, not necessarily, you know, how specifically close they are to the original. Just trying to be transparent. I'll have definitely trolls who will say, you can't talk about fragrances, you don't have the original. I am creating this video to let those of you in this community know, just like I would have loved to have known really a few years ago, that these even existed. And you can examine them yourself and see, is this something that you want to get into? So we're going to go ahead and get into this list. Let me know in the comments, what clones of Bond No. 9 fragrances do you have, and are they any good? Also remember to give 9 clicks to the like button if you like the video in honor of Bond No. 9, and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right, first up, I'm going to mention one that most people, or not most people, but many in the fragrance community are familiar with. This one is kind of a twist on the New Harlem DNA. This is Michael Jordan Legend. Now, New Harlem has been discontinued, but many said that this was like a pancake breakfast fragrance because you had this sort of sweet maple syrup kind of sweetness, and then you had a coffee note. So you had this sort of amber and vanilla sweetness. You had coffee, but then you also have some other notes giving it a little bit of spice. It is a dark, sweet, somewhat spicy fragrance with a powerful coffee note. And so with the Michael Jordan Legend here, even looking at the note comparison, what's in this one and what's in New Harlem, they are almost identical, except the Michael Jordan Legend, which you can get, I've seen this at Burlington many times. I've seen it at Ross. I've seen it at Marshall's. So go to the rack stores, especially this time of year, and you are likely to find this fragrance. At least, you know, if you go to a few, you'll probably find it. And it is phenomenal for the $15 that I paid for it. This smells easily like a $60 fragrance. It's got great performance on me. It's like at least a 6 or 7 hour fragrance, maybe even longer than that. But it's really good stuff. But here's the distinctive that sets it apart from New Harlem. There is a leather note in this fragrance, a very discernible, honestly, shockingly high quality leather note in this fragrance that's not in the Bond No. 9. It actually, to my nose, is identical to the leather note that's in CH Men. And so it's as if you took the notes from Bond No. 9 New Harlem and you took the leather note from CH Men and put it in this fragrance, and that's pretty much what you get. There is a clone, however, that sticks precisely to the note breakdown of Bond No. 9 New Harlem, and I have not smelled the original, but I can tell you in general, generic perfumes, I have been so impressed with this Middle Eastern brand. They do clones of niche fragrances. They may even do some designers, but they do a phenomenal job. I have smelled many fragrances from them that I have the original of, or that I'm at least familiar with the original of, and they just do a phenomenal job. There's only been a couple out of probably the 25 that I've tried, maybe even more than 25, that I've thought, it's okay. Most of them legitimately, and they've never paid me a dime, and they're not paying me a dime for this video. Legitimately, most of the time I smell their fragrances and I say, wow. And several of their fragrances are some of my favorite pickups of the past year. And so anyway, this is their version of New Harlem. And it is, you know, to me, the Michael Jordan fragrance, that leather note, I'm so familiar with CH Men and CH Men Privé that really catches my attention, and it's a strong note in the fragrance. This one is just straight up, you know, you've got the coffee, you've got the amber, you've got lavender, bergamot in the opening, and you do get a little bit of an aromatic opening. You've got coffee, you've got some cedar woods, you've got vanilla, patchouli, tonka bean, and amber in the base, giving it that sweetness that many people equate to kind of a pancake breakfast. And so I would say, just based on what I know, that for accuracy, you're going to want to go with generic perfumes. They are very reasonably priced, and I'll have some discount codes for you where you can get 25% off or free shipping. But you can't go wrong with the Michael Jordan fragrance either. If you see it out, pick it up. It's been out for many years, and it's beloved in the fragrance community for good reason. All right, next, I want to talk about a brand that I knew nothing about 6 months ago, and now I've got maybe 5 or 6, 7 fragrances from them. The brand is Emper, and they did a whole line of Bond No. 9 fragrances, and they are very impressive. This one is 9th Avenue. This is the packaging for all of them. I mean, these are $30 fragrances even on Amazon, and the packaging is very impressive. And even the presentation, which I want to show you, I mean, they did a really good job. This one, you will know if you're familiar with the fragrance. This one is a clone of Bond No. 9 Nomad. And I have smelled Nomad. It's incredible. It is one of the most mass-pleasing oud fragrances that I've ever smelled. I was at a baseball game, actually, in the summer, and a guy sitting next to me was wearing something, and, you know, in the air, and it's different, of course, on everybody's skin. It was like a niche version of Dolce & Gabbana The One. I was like, dude, what are you wearing? And he's like, oh, it's Bond No. 9 Nomad. I'd never even heard of Nomad before. And so anyway, I kind of became low-level obsessed with that fragrance. I went home and looked it up. The original is whatever it is, even from discounters, 250 plus. So I didn't pick it up, but I was very excited whenever I saw this one, and this stuff is incredible. It is, again, an oud fragrance, but it's got this powerful fruitiness in the opening. This powerful fruitiness, and then you've got this oud woodiness, but you have a texture that still, even now having worn this for the past couple weeks, there is something about it that reminds me of Dolce & Gabbana The One. Not that it smells like that, but Dolce & Gabbana The One is one of the most three-dimensional fragrances. The texture is what's so impressive. And this one has something in the air that is just absolutely gorgeous. And the only thing I'll say about these from Emper is the lids are garbage. They are these very flimsy plastic lids. They come off all the time. And I'm going to show you 3 of these, and all of them have this crappy lid. So that's my only complaint. But that one is phenomenal. Check it out. I'm going to try to leave links to all these. The next one I'll mention, one that I am familiar with, the original DNA. It is an incredible fragrance. I'm talking about Lafayette Street, and Emper's version is called Rock Street. And this stuff is incredibly mass-pleasing, as many Bond No. 9 fragrances are, but it's addictive. It's got this fuzzy ambroxan texture, and it's got this sweet fruitiness and spice in the opening, and it's got a floral vibe. I would not say this is a feminine fragrance. I mean, I'm sure that a woman could wear it, probably true of all Bond No. 9 fragrances, but this is not one that I would say, some guys might find it too feminine. It's just, if you like sweet fragrances, this is an incredible, fruity, spicy, fuzzy fragrance that will blow you away. And so some of the notes in Lafayette Street, in the top, you've got bergamot, floral notes, and coriander. That's where you're getting a little bit of that spiciness from. But then you've got apple, ambroxan, and vanilla in the mid. And that apple vanilla is what gives you that sweet fruitiness that I think makes the fragrance, and that ambroxan gives it, again, that fuzzy texture. Something similar to like Boss Bottled or Boss Bottled Intense, that texture that you get in the opening that I think is the best part of the fragrance. And then in the base, you've got tonka bean, ambergris, at least in the original, or maybe it's just ambroxan or amber max or whatever, and woodsy notes. And so it's a sweet, fruity, floral fragrance with some spice. Absolutely incredible. And Emperor's dupe of this stuff is really, really good. Highly recommended. And one that is honestly so similar, I can barely tell them apart. I would say that Generic Perfumes' take on Lafayette Street lasts longer. And this is their A+. Generic Perfumes does their standard, their A+, and their A++. And I think they're just more concentrated and somehow higher quality if you go plus or plus. This is A+. And this is easily, an 8 to 10 hour fragrance. And so this is a longer lasting fragrance. I would say that the Emperor Lafayette Street is easily a 6 or 7 hour fragrance, potentially longer. But this one is kind of in typical Generic Perfumes fashion, very long lasting stuff. And so again, Lafayette Street is one of those I could recommend to anybody. I would say it's a safe blind buy. So check that one out. I'll have links in the description. All right, next I'll go with one that I absolutely love, Bleecker Street. A lot of people have talked about this as their favorite Bond No. 9 fragrance. It is a bit of an acquired taste because it's odd, but it's so very good. Sorry, we are crate training a puppy, and there's no time during the day I can do a video without some barking in the background. So give me grace for a couple weeks as we figure this out. But this one right here, Bleecker Street, this stuff it's incredible. There's a reason this is many people's favorite Bond No. 9 fragrance. But I'll tell you, the first few times I smelled it, I was kind of iffy on it. It is a blueberry, grassy, woody, leathery fragrance. And that's what you get. You get this sweet blueberry in the opening, but then the grass and woods and leather are pretty dominant, and they're fairly dry. So you've got sort of a dry, woody leather with this rich, green, grassy note and this fruity, sweet blueberry. Over this past summer, I discovered that Generic Perfumes' dupe of Bleecker Street, along with Creed's Virgin Island Water, was this intoxicating combo. I don't know why, but something about that, sweet, coconutty, tropical, gorgeous Virgin Island water mixed with this stuff. I got compliments probably every time I wore it. I don't think that's an exaggeration. By itself, it's incredible. You spritz in something tropical like that, and it's just to the moon. And so again, this is Generic Perfumes' dupe of Bleecker Street. Incredible, incredible stuff. And this is just their standard. It's not even their A+. Super long lasting, 8 hour fragrance. Really great stuff. All right. Next up, I'm going to go with one that I've never smelled the original. I didn't even know it existed until I started looking at some best of Bond No. 9 lists. I'm talking about Coney Island. This is in the series like Bleecker Street, where they do the regions of New York. And so again, this one is Coney Island from Generic Perfumes, and this is a fantastic, sweet, summer fragrance, really all year round fragrance. I want to tell you some of the notes. I've worn this several times and I was so impressed, I started taking notes on my experience as I was wearing it. All right, so in Coney Island, in the beginning, you get this sweet, rindy lime. So kind of a naturalistic lime, but with a lot of sweetness, and you also get tequila. So very clear, sweet, rindy lime and tequila. Then you get this melon note that is a lot like the melon note from Le Beau Paradise Garden. It's almost indistinguishable, almost identical. The melon note mixing with that tequila and that rindy lime. Then you get there is a certain musk that is common to Bond Number 9 fragrances. I've even picked it up in clones, and in the few Bond Number 9 fragrances that I've smelled, it's a standout. It's very distinct. And in this fragrance, as well as the Bleecker Street, you get that distinctive Bond Number 9 musk. So Generic Perfumes really nailed that thing, that distinctive thing. You know, many houses have that. Creed has its ambergris. Parfums de Marly has a certain core. John Varvatos has a certain core to their fragrances, and many houses do that. But it is a sweet, fruity, tart fragrance with that tequila note. Very good stuff, very impressive. And it is one, again, that blending with Bleecker Street, it's not too far off from that sweet tropical Virgin Island water thing. I really enjoyed wearing the Bleecker Street clone and the Coney Island clone. They worked very, very well together. I will tell you this about some of Generic Perfumes fragrances. I've only found this, I guess, with two, with the Bleecker Street clone and the Coney Island clone. They're so potent. They leave oil on your skin. They could stain your clothes if you sprayed close up on your clothes. But I will get a little bit of skin irritation if I spray too much. Maybe it's because of the concentration of the oils. Maybe it's the materials they're using. But I will tell you, any given day, I've got 5 or 6 fragrances that I've sprayed and washed off, and it could be my skin is becoming more and more sensitive, but I did want to mention that I have gotten some skin irritation a couple times with some of these fragrances. All right, so next up, we're going to go with another one of these Emperor clones. This is Green Valley Village. And again, the presentation on these is pretty impressive. I'm going to take off this plastic sleeve, and if I can get it open, you know, on this one, it's got a hinged lid, if you can see that. And I mean, the bottle, again, the presentation on these is pretty impressive. Obviously, this is a clone of Greenwich Village, which I have not smelled the original of. There are some things about this fragrance that I love, and there's something about it I really don't like. And I would love to hear from some of you in the comments if you have the original or if you've tried it, and if you found the same thing to be true in the original. So in this fragrance and in the original, you have lychee, you've got cassis or cassis, mandarin orange, water lily, peony, jasmine. Then you've got ambroxan, praline, musk, vanilla, and oak moss. A lot of notes, like most Bond Number 9 fragrances are. The lychee fruit is very distinct. Lychee fruit it's kind of tropical feeling, but there's a little bit of a waxy kind of a quality that you're going to get with lychee fruit. And then you do get those floral notes. This is one for sure that I could see some guys saying, nah, it's too feminine for me. But the vanilla, the praline, the musk, you get those notes in this one. And I watched the Bowtie Fragrance Guy did, I think, a full review on Greenwich Village, and he mentioned some of these things in the original. So I would guess that this one is fairly close to the original. But here's the thing. The cassis note, cassis or cassis, it's a pretty animalic smelling fragrance. If you tap the note on Fragrantica, it comes up and says it's an herb, but it's a pissy. It literally says it's a cat piss note, which is insane. And in this fragrance, I get this animalic quality, which I love. Animalic leather fragrances. I even love some animalic ambers, even some animalic oud. But I do not like the animalic note in the midst of an otherwise sort of tropical and floral sweet fragrance. And so to me, the cassis note kind of ruined this fragrance. And so I don't know if they just overdid it in the dupe, or if in Greenwich Village, do you get that cassis note pretty strong? I do have some other fragrances with that note, but it's really an undertone. But in this one, for some reason, I keyed in on it, and I'm just like, I don't know that I'm ever going to wear this. I'll try it again. I think I only gave it one full wearing and maybe one test. In the opening, you don't get it. You get beautiful, tropical, floral, lychee. You get a little bit of that sort of sweet vanilla praline. The lychee is pretty dominant, and then I would say the vanilla praline, even that musk is coming through. And I'll tell you right now off the strip, I'm not getting that cassis thing. But on my skin, maybe it was only after about a half hour, it started to come out, and I really didn't like it. Anyway, let me know, what is the real Greenwich Village like? I haven't tried it. I walked past it in the mall the other day. I've got an incredible Zara video coming out in the next week or two, and I was with family. I was rushed. I wanted to stop and smell it, but I just didn't have time to. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you have some good Bond No. 9 clones? Do you have some of the originals? How do the clones compare to the originals? I'd love to hear from you. Remember to give those 9 clicks to the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm Justin. This is Sillage Scents.